Everybody on the show, like before you came in, we were talking about those little like pivotal moments.
Yeah.
And do you remember, like, what was the first drive that you had where you got to go? You took the keys from your dad. Red Akins, I assume, goes, he gives you, I picture him giving a speech and then sends you off. Where'd you go by yourself when you drove for the first time?
Well, I remember, I think I turned 16 on a Sunday, and obviously we were in school in March. And so the first time I ever drove anywhere by myself was to school, I guess on March 31st of 2006.
Yeah.
And it was the most freeing feeling in the world because you could turn the radio up as loud as you wanted. Could roll all four windows down. It was just like there's a lot of things that you couldn't do during your learner's permit that all of a sudden now that you're by yourself you can do them.
Yeah.
And I just remember after school that day, Chili's was and still then is my favorite restaurant to go to. Maybe it's the chips and salsa, but I remember me and like a bunch of buddies that had just turned 16. We all just went to Chili's and ate, and we just thought it was the coolest thing on the planet that we got to go there by ourselves.
Did you look, and I never thought to do this when I was a kid either. Did you look in the rearview mirror and see if like your dad or somebody was following you just to see how it went?
No, I knew that they trusted me enough because I was one of those kids, I don't know if it's like you, but my family has always had like land growing up, whether it was in Georgia or in Tennessee. And so I really learned how to drive a truck on a farm probably at 12 years old.
I grew up in South Dakota. I got my driver's license at 14.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they gave it to you, from daytime hours.
So I feel like if you kind of grew up anywhere remotely in the country, you were behind the wheel a little bit earlier, just like learning how to drive in an open field. And so I think when I turned 16, I kind of already knew what I was doing, and they knew I knew what I was doing.
Do you remember ever like a moment where your dad either busted you on something or had to come like bail you out of just some situation you were in? Like you called and you were, Dad, I need your help.
Yeah, I do remember. So when I first got my truck, my grandfather gave me my truck for Christmas one year, and it was when I was 15. So I obviously couldn't drive it yet, but it was parked underneath this shed that we had down in Georgia because my granddad lives in Georgia, and he gave me the truck down there. And me and some friends were riding around on four-wheelers at like late at night, 11:30, 12 o'clock. It was raining, and I pulled up next to my truck, and my friend that was getting off the back of the four-wheeler when he got off, he accidentally hit the throttle on the four-wheeler. And so the day I got my first truck, this four-wheeler ran smack into the back of my brand new truck, and the front end of it got hooked onto the back. So we had to call a wrecker and a tower to like literally dismount the four-wheeler off the back. But I'll never forget how scared I was walking into my dad's bedroom when he'd be asleep for like 4 hours. And I was like, so that truck that is brand new that I just got is completely trashed right now. So I think as a kid, that was where I learned that honesty was the best policy.
I was going to say, I feel like a lot of kids would have been like, let's just park the truck at somebody else's house.
I thought about it, trust me.
Yeah.
But my life has served me way better when I tell the truth immediately rather than when I try to keep something a secret.
What was your first concert you ever went to? Your dad obviously in the business. I think that's an interesting question to you.
Well, my dad would be my first concert for sure. But the first concert I ever went to that wasn't my dad's, my dad took me to see the Rolling Stones at Mile High Stadium in Denver when I was like 8 years old. So
did it sink in then, or that just was like you have pictures and you didn't understand?
I've loved music ever since I was little, and my dad is the biggest Rolling Stones fan on the planet. And so like I still have the T-shirt I bought at that show. I've seen the Stones probably 10 times since then. The Allman Brothers probably 5 or 6 times. So it was really cool that my dad cultured me in that way musically as a young kid.